Alrighty, up next was the star-crossed lovers that are Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. As the history package reminds us, they've turned on and rejoined each other more than Liz Taylor and Richard Burton.
You know, I thought they may go with this last because when they did the Rock video, I was like, oh, are they going right into the main event now? And then they're going to do the unsanctioned match after the show? That'd be interesting, but obviously they didn't.
Well, and see, how you going to follow the final boss? That's why the final is before boss. See, that's very important to remember, Brian.
I'm the last boss.
Well, but if you're the last boss on the left and he's the final boss on the right, then which one gets their mail first? See? Think about that.
The one who could throw knives. I'll win.
Well, now you have knives, but how good are you at throwing them when the other motherfucker is running away from them?
I have no comment. In fact, let me say the opposite. I have no skills whatsoever. If anything happens, it's pure luck. I have no idea what I'm doing. I just was trying to defend myself.
The U.S. District Court for Northern New Jersey is hereby put on notice that Brian Last's knife-throwing skills are a deadly weapon.
Come on. I throw knives like I play piano. No, I can't.
Oh, okay. Well, you're getting off then. You don't have to worry. All right. Anyway, Sami Zayn and I started to say Sami Owens and Kevin Zayn. Sami and Kevin. The ring announcer, by the way, is ridiculous. The hairdo is ludicrous. She forces everything. The voice is highly put on and unnatural. And we need old Samantha Stevens back, or Samantha Irwin. We need Sam back.
Well, I don't think she's coming back. It's unfortunate. And, she was kind of, a part of the whole winning team, it felt like, and she just didn't want to do it. And I don't think she's going to be coming back. Especially, she's married to Ricochet.
Oh, well, then she ought to bounce back. So, okay.
God damn it.
Think about that now.
That's brilliant. Brilliant.
So Sami and Kevin is what we were trying to talk about. And I said right at the start, I jotted this down, my observation. I said these two are either going to have a great wrestling match or an outlaw garbage match stunt show. And it's Canada, so people are going to love it either way. But I'm wondering, can they help themselves from being too indie and try to have that? Because they're both great workers athletically in their own way. Neither one of them looks like they ought to be able to jog their memory. Zayn looks like he went to give blood and forgot to say when, and Owens looks like he ate Zayn. But they can they can work.
When I watched this match, my big thought was, this match is Jim Cornette's nightmare every night in like 2009. Right here,
well, and that's the thing. That's the thing. They were in front of 800 people in a goddamn rec center somewhere doing this shit 15 years ago. And they've got a story behind them. And they got that wicked-ass pile driver that Owens does and that he's done on Sami. And Sami can sell his ass off and exhibit pain and get sympathy. And they can, I'm not saying go back to the, 1975 Harley race pattern and, then one headbutt to the table. They could put a couple of their tricks, as the kids say, their tricks in. But in Canada, the people, as I said, are going to love it either way, but that's because they're into both these guys. But they went in the other direction of the athletic contest between two bitter former friends, now blood enemies. And instead they said, we're going to do every indie wrestling thing that we've ever liked, that we've seen or done before. Now we get to do it on the big screen. They were whacking each other with chairs, multiple chairs in the ring in the first 2 minutes of the fucking match after fighting on the floor. And then they got a hockey stick and they pulled out a table. And again, I'm not picking this apart with the vehemence that I sometimes would have, because once again, there's 40,000 people there, and it's Canada, and they're Canadians, and they're loving it. And a lot of these people now think that that is what wrestling is, or that's supposed to be involved in a wrestling match, is all this barrage of shit. And at least these guys do it well. I mean, it's like, is that like kind of like a parent praising their kid's poop? Oh, look at he poops so good. It's still shit, but they do it better than the fucking delinquent kids down the street whose parents didn't teach them to poop properly. And they're pooping out on the porch. Brian, you've had that problem with your kids, haven't you? Not pooping on the porch, but having better poop than the kids down the street that are pooping on the porch.
I think it may be a Southern thing.
Well, must be because of the weather. And I've enjoyed Owens lately personality-wise. I thought it was hokey when they were doing that thing with him where he would just flip out and want to fight and start screaming like a maniac, at the drop of a hat. And I think he did too, thought it was hokey because he was doing it in a hokey way. But now he's insidious and he feels wronged in the whole thing. It's wonderful, but God damn it, they go through the crowd. They go into the back of the arena. And Sami throws Owens through not one but two tables, one at a time, set up his, concession stand areas. And then they get back to the ring and Owens pushes Sami off the top rope, flipping through two tables stacked on top of each other to the floor. And then they wipe the referee out. But Owens hits the stunner and gets the cover. The second referee slides in and it gets a 2 count. And so Owens levels referee number 2. And number 3 comes in. And at that point, Kevin's bringing in another table. And there's another chair shot. And it's dragging because it's all stunts. They're going from stunt to stunt. And to me, part of the thing that made the wild furniture brawl of the territory days more exciting, if you watch the old videos on YouTube, again, comparing them to the modern crowds, not only had they not seen it so much back then, but also there was usually more of a frantic pace going on. It's like, oh shit, it's 3 wild minutes like Tornado went through instead of, God damn, they're setting up a lot of shit and hitting each other. You got some popcorn over there, hun? So then, what was next? Kevin gave Sami a fisherman suplex buster off the top rope through a table and got a 2 count. At 2, 4, 5, 7, about 6 tables in. Sami pulled out more chairs and then a barbed wire wrapped chair. Where then Sami drop toe holded Owens face first into the barbed wire wrapped chair, which Kevin sold brilliantly, screaming, but there's no blood, Jerry. There's no one is bleeding. He just went face first into barbed wire, allegedly. Trademark. So what, and why is the chair wrapped in barbed wire? Is that to discourage people from sitting during their match? Well, we don't want to sit down. We better give them a standing ovation. And then Sami stacked chairs up and made a bridge with the barbed wire chair in the middle and gave Kevin a Blue Thunder bomb onto the barbed wire chair stacked on the chairs. 2 count. And then finally, Kevin ended up putting a chair around Sami's neck and running him into the post a couple times and powerbombing him on the apron. But then Sami fought back, so Kevin powerbombed him on the apron again and then rolled him in and covered him 1, 2, 3. All that shit that they had done, and it didn't build to a Peter Northish explosion rather than Sami went down with a fight and a slight whimper. I would have liked a match better than a 30-minute long collection of stunts involving doing as much damage to various pieces of office furniture as they possibly could. Am I being too critical?
Maybe, maybe not. I mean, this was clearly a very... Is it self-indulgent if it's two people? Is it more than self-indulgent if it's
no,
two people?
it's duo indulgent.
You know, and I'm not saying there aren't tons and tons of fans who like it, but it's hard for me to watch something when, you know, these two guys are best friends who just love doing this shit to each other. And they've been doing it and trying to do it for, I mean,
20 fucking years.
Let's say it's close to 20 years now, yeah. So, you know, the fans were really into it. I was surprised when Owens went over, although there was obviously a bit of an afterbirth that explained, didn't explain why Randy Orton doesn't wear clothes, but it explained why he went over.
Well, yes, and they've got, and Owens is doing some great work. Sami is always a guy that can lose in these situations, and it still doesn't hurt him because they like him as the underdog. And if the underdog wins all the time, then he's not an underdog. And, well, then what would Polly Purebred do? Much less Simon Bar Sinister. How's he gonna support himself? What are you people trying to fucking pull here? Anyway, so Owens went to get more heat on Sami, because he's nefarious that way, when suddenly music played and here came Randy Orton.
Played by Wally Cox. Just to finish what we were doing.
Doom, 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 doom. All right. So Orton comes out and gets in the ring, and they have the big face-off, him and Kevin. And they get in a fight, and Randy hits the RKO on Kevin. Boom, and gets a big ovation, and the Randy chants. And Orton goes for the big kick to the head, but the agents and security kind of ran in right as Owens rolled out, disoriented and fucking taking off, heading for higher ground, as they say. And then Orton RKO'd every single member of the security force who were kind enough to come at him one at a time and then stop, throw up their hands, and remain immobile while they were delivered their punishment.
The first guy was the best because he went down and he was kind of curled up in an unnatural position, and then he stayed there like that. Everyone else like took it and then rolled out of the ring.
Yeah, well, also, do you know why the first guy was the best?
Why?
Because the first time you see it, you might know that it's coming, but you can't visualize it. The second time you see it, you start noticing things. When you do something 5 or 6 times, that's when people can pick up on if there's holes, if there's daylight, if there's anything untoward about it, or just the exaggerated amount of cooperation from the folks taking it. They're all trying to get over and do the best, job they can. But as a result, when you repeat something like that, you give the people more chance to see through it. That's the succinct version of what I was trying to say. In some fashion.
With the Randy Orton return, and I get the idea that there's a philosophy that wrestlers should always be seen in their wrestling gear, and Jade returned earlier in her dominatrix gear. But would it have made a bigger impact if Randy Orton showed up in street clothes? For this kind of thing where I'm showing up to kick the shit out of the guy who injured me? He was dressed for a match. And again... Yes, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I was about to say, and remember now, he is one of the original Rip Rogers disciples. And Rip was not only a body guy, but always like, go out and look your fucking best. And fucking wear your gear and show the fucking body off. And Orton looks phenomenal. And I think he looks more of a star that way than he does in the normal street clothes that he wears. Now, he could dress up in street clothes like Seth Franklin Rollins, custom-made shit, and look like Elvis or whatever, but that's not Orton. So I think in his case, it doesn't work for everybody, but in some people's like his, I think it works better if you always see him in his gear as a fucking giant fucking jacked up wrestler. But now if he changes and starts teaming up with Don Fargo and they go to the Hell's Angels or the Chain Gang, then he can just come right in wearing what he's wearing.
They should do some kind of angle where all the heels get together, women and men, and beat the shit out of the sound guy, who always has a heads up who's going to run in and hurt them.
You're in on it, you son of a bitch.
Of course, you know what that sound means. We need to take a short time out, and we weren't planning on it, so we're completely out of wits, and we don't know what we're doing. And when you're like that, when everything's just hitting you hard and you don't know what to do, and there's still so much wrestling to watch, sometimes you just want to sit back and have a drink. A nice classy drink, a nice classy wine, and here to tell you about that, Mr. Class himself, Jim Cornette.
That's right, because we're classy winos, I'll have you know, and we're out of wits right now, is what we are, apparently, Brian. Is that what you're saying? I'm still in possession of my wits. You know why? Because I can tell you where the smart people are going to get their wine these days. Have you heard about our new friends over at nakedwines.com? Nakedwines.com. More on that in a minute, why that is the way. But, Brian, you know, I've told you this. Stacy is a more accomplished connoisseur of wine. She knows the reds from the whites and the rosés from the Perignors and things and such of that nature. And, you know, I'm just... give me the standard little sparkling martini and Rossi. You know, that's about as far as I go. So she, whenever she tells me to go out and get wine, I walk in the store is what I do. And I'm staring at the giant wall of wine. I have no idea what's what. I don't know whether to wine my ass or scratch my watch. Have you ever had this feeling, or are you a connoisseur of the vino?
Suzanne knows her stuff. I'm not really as knowledgeable as her, but she loves wine, and she was extremely happy when a package from Naked Wines recently arrived, and we were so happy we got naked.
Well, there you go. And see, that's part of it, because once you can get them a couple of drinks in them, boy, I'll tell you what.
Well, no, that's not what I was saying. No, that wasn't what. It wasn't induced by the alcohol. It was the happiness with the arrival. We don't want to say that
the alcohol brought from Naked Wines. But the point being, you don't have to worry about all that stuff now, picking out the wines. And you see, obviously, we're saying the wives like the wines or know the wines better than we do. So leave it to the experts, because the people at Naked Wines, apparently they directly connect you to the world's finest independent winemakers. Now, you've seen the where the winemakers, they stomp the grapes in the big vats, right? Well, since they're indie winemakers, there's barbed wire wrapped around their feet, and they're jumping off scaffolds to stomp the grapes for the wine. But you can get award-winning wine, folks, delivered straight to your door with nakedwines.com, because like we said, they've been around 15 years. They fund over 90 independent winemakers. They got no commitments, no membership fees. You can pause or cancel anytime if you've got a delivery coming up, but whoops, I forgot I'm going on vacation that week, or I've got to report back to my parole officer to serve the rest of that time. You can put the thing on pause. Well, that happens to everybody sooner or later.
That may be a very, 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 very small part of the audience. Let's talk about the people that come home.
We want to connect with everybody.
Let's connect with the people that get off the train after a hard day's work and they just want to go home and see their wife, see their family, and sit down and enjoy a nice glass.
And get snookered. And I'll tell you what, there's where Naked Wines comes in.
Enjoy with class at a classy speed a nice glass of wine.
Yes, boy, I'll tell you what, and you'll have class all over the place. Class and broken glass and everything. No, if you drink out of plastic cups, it's easier though, folks, because Naked Wines is going to connect the winemakers and the wine drinkers directly, allowing for vineyard to your door delivery at up to 60% off what you would pay in the store, by cutting out the traditional retail middlemen, the people that drive from house to house in those big panel trucks with bottles of wine in the back. They got to take their cut, and that's where you're spending your money, folks. So to cut that out, and There'll be no people coming to your house in panel trucks with wine in the back of them anymore. Instead, it'll be the folks from Naked Wines that you'll know when they get to your porch, because men or women, they're going to be naked, because that's the trademark of Naked Wines.
No, it's not the trademark, and no one will be. First of all, I don't even know how that would work, but no one will be delivering the.
They're actually allowed to. They're allowed to take their clothes off in the truck and then just hop out naked right in front of your house. They don't have to walk down the street.
They certainly aren't, and you do not have to worry about a nude-free show. You will just have to worry about where you're going to put these wine glasses. Do you have the proper...
Depending on the driver, some people look forward to the shows. It's about 50-50, maybe 60-40, folks. You're going to get what you wanted.
There is no nudity applied, but again, there will be someone to deliver this wonderful wine right to you, wine that you choose, the wine that is right for you from our friends at Naked Wines.
That's right, and it's been stomped by naked people, folks.
Well, no,
over there. As a matter of fact,
no.
Also, there's a place, if you go to the Naked Wines headquarters, they have a gift shop where they have videos of the naked girls stomping on this wine.
No, it's Naked Wines. If that was the case, it would be nudist wines. That's not what this is. You don't have to worry about anyone being in any state of undress while your wine is prepared. Just worry about the class and the taste. Ask yourself, what would Nick Bockwinkel drink?
Wait a minute.
Do that.
Do you want them stomping on the grapes with their old dirty shoes, or do you want them the nice bare feet like Tony Atlas would want?
There's a difference in a naked foot and a naked everything.
Well, then how far up are you willing to go?
Back to you, Jim.
Well, folks, right now you can head over to nakedwines.com/JCE and you click enter voucher. Boy, this is certainly specific instructions. Click enter voucher and put in my code JCE for both the code and the password. But now once you go through all of that, and I'll tell you in a minute, so get your pen and pencil and paper ready. You're going to get 6 bottles of wine for just $39.99, and shipping is included. You can't get 6 bottles of Ripple for $40 these days. I tell you can get your wife and the guy next door's wife and the guy down the street's wife schnookered with 6 bottles of wine for just $39.99 with shipping included. nakedwines.com/JCE, click enter voucher and put in my code JCE for the code and the password. And it's worth it, because you're saving depending on your state or general geographic locale, you could be saving $100 on 6 bottles of wine with that type of pricing. How are they allowed to do this, Brian?
That's a wonderful deal for the listeners, and I think they should take advantage of that. Remember, this is wine that is amazing. You will love it. It is Naked Wines, directly for you. And one more time, what's that promo code and those very distinct directions?
Yes, nakedwines.com/JCE, click enter voucher, put in my code JCE for both the code and the password. 6 bottles of wine, $39.99 with the shipping included. And it would be nice if you do tip the young lady that might bring it to your door naked. I don't think you have to tip the guy. He enjoys it,
Well, first of all, I don't even know what any of this means, but there will be no one that has nothing to do with Naked Wines. They are not the courier. They are just the supplier of the finest wines for you at a great price, especially if you're a listener of this show. Promo code JCE at password and is the password, I should say. And
yes. And a lot of these delivery people are working their way through film school, and they need the extra tip. So they will occasionally, they'll at least, strip down to the waist.
Again, no, but I'm trying so hard, ladies and gentlemen.